The problem that people with limited mobility and muscle pain face is that exercise is often not a realistic option. If it hurts to move, it's not something you want to do. And we're back. Hey, my name's Nick Williams. This is part 3 of our series on what to do regarding back pain and other non-specific musculoskeletal pain. This is the one you've been waiting for. I'm going to finally tell you what to do. 3 things that I do for myself, do with my clients, things that have strong scientific evidence to recommend them, and that I feel pretty good standing by and recommending to you. But before we jump into it, hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know what you think in the comments. Here we go. So, when somebody comes to me, they have chronic back pain or hip pain or shoulder pain or something, and it's preventing them from enjoying a full range of motion. Maybe it's preventing them from doing the activities they like. Maybe it's interfering with sleep or just making life in general more difficult. The first thing that we do after taking their medical history and going over any diagnosis they've been given is to look for muscle knots in the body, release them, and try to regain some range of motion. Now, I will be the first to admit that I wish the science behind muscle knots or myofascial trigger points was better than it is. As it is, they kind of exist in this gray area between being potentially beneficial but very difficult to study well. We know what they are. Trigger points are lesions of tense and extra sensitive tissue within the muscle. We know that manually applied pressure and mobilization of the tissues, as well as other treatments like saline injections or being stabbed with needles or topically applied analgesic, can help to relax trigger points. What we don't really understand well is what causes them or the mechanics by which they create pain and dysfunction. So, I'm here referencing an overview on the history of trigger points and treatments published in 2015. You can check this out here. I'll link the link in the bottom. Anyway, manually applied pressure and mobilization of the joints to release trigger points is number 1. Granted, not all chronic muscle pain is going to be the result of trigger points, but they are common and arise often as a secondary condition. So, for example, if you've been diagnosed with a bulging disc in your spine that's causing sciatic pain, trigger points might arise as you try to avoid certain movements or adopt other kinds of compensation patterns. So, even though the science isn't conclusive about how trigger points work, I feel pretty good standing by this because it's something that I've had success with, and at the end of the day, it's a very minimally invasive, low commitment treatment that's worth trying. Which brings us to the second thing that I recommend for pain. Low impact exercise, especially resistance training, strength training. We've known for a while that exercise is the closest we've ever found to a miracle drug. A 2015 study found that there are very few conditions that exercise does not benefit, and it's a kind of a rising tide lifts all boats approach to muscle pain, but it's important to mention. The problem that people with limited mobility and muscle pain face is that exercise is often not a realistic option. If it hurts to move, it's not something you want to do. But assuming that treating trigger points has made movement less painful and opened up some range of motion, it's essential to then exercise that range of motion and to improve the strength and flexibility of the tissues. Honestly, I recommend resistance training for everybody unless you've been specifically told by your doctor not to. Resistance training comes with a number of health benefits, including reducing muscle pain, according to a 2012 study. And if you have pain when you exercise, there's a good chance that finding a different exercise, different version of the exercise, adjusting your form, or just managing the intensity and the load of the exercise will go a long way towards mitigating the pain. As far as what exercises to do or what muscles to train, From what I can tell, most types of exercise work. Some studies, like this 2020 study or this 2022 study, find that core-based exercises like Pilates or yoga work best for back pain, but there's also some evidence that training the posterior chain is the most effective. Deadlifts and hip bridges and such, like these 2021 studies. The idea here of trying to find corrective exercise or doing special exercises for some specific health outcome, it has its place. If you've been injured, if you've had surgery, if your doctor has recommended you to do it, then yeah, it's probably a good idea. But there are a lot of wellness experts out there ready to sell you on the idea that their special exercises are really what's going to solve your pain. The truth is that exercise selection, training the core, training the back, training whatever, it probably matters a lot less than doing the exercises correctly. Training the basic movements, hinging, squatting, pulling, twisting, etc. The fundamentals, when practiced correctly with the appropriate load, are by their nature corrective. The biggest benefit that a wellness expert can offer you isn't what exercises to do, but making sure that you're doing the exercises well. So, resistance training, treating trigger points. The last recommendation that I have, no problem standing by, is finding ways to reduce stress and inflammation in the body. Chronic low-grade stress, inflammation are two interrelated systemic conditions that really have a wide-ranging impact on the body, including pain. And there's no one thing that's going to be responsible for all the stress and inflammation, but probably most of us can improve on them with some lifestyle changes, specifically diet and sleep. Now, stress, inflammation, nutrition, sleep, these are obviously huge topics, and there's no way that I'm going to be covering all of them in depth. But they do play a critical role in muscle pain, and it's important to at least mention that, and that lifestyle changes can make a big difference. So rather than promote specific diets or anything like that, I just want to talk generally about some lifestyle changes you might think about and do on your own to have a positive impact on muscle pain. These are things that reduce stress and inflammation. We have pretty good evidence that they work. When it comes to nutrition, choosing whole food options and avoiding processed junk food seems to be the way to go. A 2023 study found that people who have chronic low back pain tend to eat more pro-inflammatory foods, i.e. junk food, and fewer foods with anti-inflammatory effects, fresh fruits, green vegetables, whole grains, healthy food. So, does that mean that you need to give up meat and go vegan or vegetarian? No, not necessarily. There are a lot of junk foods that are vegan, but it does mean making an effort to think about what you're eating and reading nutrition labels. Now, processed food is difficult to define, but I'm going to hear a quote from the British Heart Foundation. Ultra-processed foods typically have 5 or more ingredients. They tend to include many additives and ingredients that are not typically used in home cooking, such as preservatives, emulsifiers, sweeteners, artificial colors, and flavors. These foods generally have a long shelf life. So, if highly processed food, inflammatory food makes up a good chunk of your regular diet, stepping away and eating more fresh, whole foods, like what you might find in the kitchen, can go a long way to reducing chronic pain. The other broad-reaching lifestyle change that I recommend people with chronic muscle pain look at is their sleeping habits. The recommendation is 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and let's be honest, how many of us actually get that? Lack of sleep may not cause pain directly, but it does make you more sensitive to pain, as demonstrated in this 2007 study. And it interferes with being able to deal with stress, get regular exercise, make healthy meal choices, etc. So, if you have back pain or hip pain or shoulder pain and you're not sleeping well, this is definitely worth some attention. This 2023 study confirmed that good sleep hygiene, like adopting regular bedtime, controlling caffeine intake in the afternoon, meditation, and other practices, have been found to improve sleep quality. So, if you want to learn about setting up healthy sleep habits, I put together a free course for stopping back pain and getting better sleep. I'll put the link in the description. So, in summary, if you have chronic muscle pain, your solution is going to have to be multidimensional. Treating trigger points, doing resistance training, making lifestyle changes like nutrition and sleep are things that I recommend to my clients, and they're things that I focus on for myself. And the current scientific literature is pretty well on board with all of them. The wellness industry has its predators, but if you stick to your guns and ask for proof before you pay, you can go a long way towards protecting yourself. Remember, pain is more complicated than a single issue like posture or core strength, and you should be wary of anyone who oversimplifies the problem to neatly fit into the single product or service that they sell. All right, that's it for me. Like and subscribe if this was helpful. Check out the resources in the description. They're all free. And leave a comment. Let me know about your experience with back pain or muscle pain. And until then, enjoy your practice.